In a school built over a burial ground, a red balloon follows a janitor working the night shift. A deceased family member is captured in the reflection of a window, and a man has an encounter with a ghostly horse. These are mysterious things caught on camera that remain unexplained. This first video was recorded at the Santa Maria Inn in California and has a reputation, but more on that in a minute. This video was uploaded to TikTok by Tita_80. The uploader, named Martha in real life, and her partner had checked into the hotel when their dog Oreo started acting strange. He really didn't want to go anywhere near this bench and was nervously growling and barking at it. And he wasn't subtle about it. Something was really unsettling him. Now, this was already creepy, but when they watched back over the footage later, they noticed something. A voice. Take a listen.
Come on.
It's very quiet, but if you listen closely, you hear what sounds like a voice whispering, "Come back." It says it a couple times. Now, as I said before, this inn has a pretty legendary reputation for being haunted. It was a favorite pit stop for the Hollywood elite traveling between LA and Hearst Castle. One of the most famous spirits said to be hanging around is the silent film star Rudolph Valentino. We all know and love him. He was a regular at the inn before his sudden death in 1926 at just 31 years old, and he's often linked to room 221, where guests have reported hearing a phantom knocking on the door. They open it, no one's there. And weirder, people have walked into the room and seen a deep indentation on the bed as if someone or something is sprawled out relaxing on top of the covers. Then there's the story of the sea captain. Legend has it he was killed at the inn by his mistress, and he's been a fixture there ever since the hotel opened in 1917. He's mostly seen in the hallways of the gardens, sometimes just staring off in the distance before he vanishes. One guest reported waking up to a feeling of a man's arms around her, only for the figure to whisper, "I drowned," in her ear before disappearing. There are also reports of a piano playing on its own and an elevator that moved between floors when no one's inside, and a mysterious balloon that was once seen following a housekeeper all around the second floor. While most of the ghosts seem friendly or just mischievous, some guests have reported much more intense experiences, like feeling a heavy pressure on their chest or waking up with unexplained scratch marks. And speaking of haunted balloons, this video, it's like a scene out of It. So a janitor at King High School in Tampa, Florida was working a late shift in a classroom covered in confetti and balloons when he pulled out his phone to record something that was freaking him out. He focuses the camera on a single red balloon sitting in the corner, claiming, quote, "No matter where I'm at in the classroom or whatever I decide to do, it just follows me." As he moves around, the balloon actually does begin to edge forward, gliding across the floor. I mean, it follows him out into the hallway. And when a dark, blurry figure appears to sprint behind the door at the end of the hallway, well, that was the breaking point for the janitor. He later mentioned that other workers had actually warned him about weird things happening at the school at night, and knowing the backstory of the school, it kind of makes sense. See, back in 2019, researchers used ground-penetrating radar and discovered that the school was actually built right on the top of the forgotten Ridgewood Cemetery. They found 145 caskets, but records show there could be over 250 people buried there. A man named Marvin was on his way home one night in Santa Cruz when he had an encounter with a phantom horse. Weren't expecting to hear that sentence today, were ya?
Darle acá un video de cómo se ve Santa Cruz en la noche. Escucho algo ahí feo.
So, did you hear that? As he's walking down this seemingly empty street, he suddenly hears what sounds like a horse clopping along. He turns around to look, but the street is totally empty. So he keeps walking, and sure enough, he hears it again.
Aquí lo escucho ahora.
When he hears the ghostly galloping a third time, now accompanied by a howling dog, he just takes off running.
Salta, Vela, ya me voy mejor para la otra. Pues señores, que asustan en Santa Cruz, asustan en Santa Cruz.
As he runs more and more, dogs start wailing. Is it him they're reacting to, or someone or something else? This clip was posted to TikTok by Benjamin Dover, filmed in Tampa, Florida in 2020. It's a series of lights moving aimlessly through the sky, and there are two sets of them. Nobody can agree on what they are. I've read everything in the comments from UFOs, of course, to birds reflecting light, but what do you all think these are? Share your thoughts down below. So next up, we have another dog creeping us all out with its mysterious sixth sense. This video comes from a nursing home where a therapy dog started acting strange. Everyone was sat in a circle, there to pet the dog, when it suddenly walked away from the group and out into the hall, stopping to stare at an empty room, a room where no one was currently housed. But a resident had died there not long before this video was filmed. A dog just stood there, whimpering outside the pitch black room. Yeah, not creepy at all. It's especially strange because this is a service dog. It's very well trained. So what was the dog sensing that compelled it to come to this specific room? Well, turns out this room has a reputation. It's known as the death room. You may remember I talked about another video featuring this room about a month ago. Check out our video, Disturbing Footage That Should Not Exist, for the full clip. But in short, a nurse went to bless the room after a series of unexplained occurrences, and a rosary bead was lifted into the air, and it did not look natural. Look what happens when this restaurant manager places this candle holder on the table. This video was posted by Northic3 on Reddit, who works at this restaurant in Manchester. The uploader says the man in the clip was the manager at the time, and according to Northic3, he was absolutely convinced that what happened was paranormal. While the table in the video looks like it has a slick, glossy finish, Northic points out that the surface is actually quite bumpy and was completely dry at the time. So this makes the movement of the candle holder even harder to explain, of course. It doesn't just slide once either. Notice that it starts moving, comes to a dead stop, and then starts up again on its own. The building dates back to the 1700s and is pretty notorious for its unsettling atmosphere. The activity is not just limited to moving objects. Northic3 wrote that the sounds of crying are often heard coming from the basement, and there's a tunnel down there that disappears into total darkness. The landlord even warns staff to stay out of the tunnel, saying they don't actually know where it leads. In 2017, a Reddit user named Elturb lost their uncle to a violent home invasion. The uncle had been struggling with addiction, was living with a roommate whose client tried to break in to steal an iPad. Now, a while after the funeral, the Redditor's aunt was home alone on a snowy day. She snapped a quick photo of the snow through the window to share with her family. Seemed like a totally normal, mundane picture until the Redditor's mother started blowing up the family group chat, telling everyone they needed to zoom in on the reflection in the glass. When the Redditor looked closer, they saw the unmistakable image of their uncle sitting on the couch in the reflection. The aunt was terrified. She was adamant that she was the only person in the house when the photo was taken, and apparently she doesn't know the first thing about Photoshop or anything like that, by the way. The story took a chilling turn just a couple months ago. The Redditor asked the aunt to resend the photo so they could show a friend. After saving it from the chat files, the Redditor realized the original image was actually a live photo. So expecting to debunk the whole thing now, she pressed down on the screen, assuming the uncle would remain perfectly still like a stationary object. Instead, the figure in the reflection actually moves its head. Take a look. In this security footage from a school in Mexico, we see a teacher sitting alone in his classroom, trying to get through some grading. Everything seems normal until he suddenly stops what he's doing and starts acting strange, like he's focused on someone standing right at the door. According to the teacher, a student's mother had appeared in the doorway. He started having a conversation with the woman, asking about a student who, of course, wasn't there since the school day was long over. When you watch the video, the hallway is completely vacant. He's talking and gesturing to no one. He eventually watched the woman turn and walk into the classroom next door. He got up to follow her because their conversation wasn't over, but when he stepped into the adjacent room, it was pitch black. It was totally empty. There was no sign of her in the room or anywhere in the halls either. So at that point, the realization finally hit him. This was not a person he was talking to. Instantly terrified, he grabbed his things and bolted. And that has been the video for today. I will catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next one.